First thing, you notice that long second hand with arrow tipped, and what do you think? Longines Spirit Zulu time GMT. But this is not a GMT. And also that case design is a Rolex Submariner. So what is this watch really? I don't think Addiesdive is gonna send me any more watches after this review for sure. But I gotta be honest here, this watch was sent to me for review, so that's what we're gonna do here. Alright, let's talk about this dial. It is a green dial, sunburst with gold toned hands and indices, which in theory, it sounds like bold and something that will look good. But here it ends up feeling kinda messy. The green has a nice shimmer under the light, I'll give that, but it is busy. There's a lot going on here. You have got a 24-hour track printed inside the hour markers, minute markers circling the inside edge of the dial, and that hideous logo right at 12 o'clock. Why? I thought we were done with that Addiesdive logo, but nope, it's still here. And then of course the second hand styled exactly like Longines Spirit Zulu time GMT hand, but it's not. It's just your regular second hand. And it just kind of looks off. It almost feels like the design team had a brainstorming session and they thought, hey, what if we take the GMT hand from Longines Zulu time, but just use it as a second hand instead? And the other person was like, yep, innovation, baby. And to top it off, there is a date window at 3, framed in white, doesn't really match anything else on the dial. It just kinda floats there. Honestly, I can't say I'm impressed with the dial. It is the same old Submariner case. They have used it to death. And instead of trying something truly fresh, they just load it with more stuff. It's like they wanted to avoid making a full-on homage watch, but still couldn't resist pulling bits from here and there. I get it. Some of you might dig this look, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it feels like a cluttered mess. Remix of more famous designs, but it doesn't come together that well. Addiesdive has the experience and resources to make genuinely great watches at really affordable prices, and we have seen that from them before. I guess they kind of applied the same design philosophy on their model AD2066, which was a mix of Longines Conquest dial in a Rolex Explorer 1 case. And that one kind of worked. Even I'm a big fan of that watch. So they tried again here with this one. I see the thought process, but this one, it feels like half-hearted experiment, a try, but not a great one. That said, it is under $100. The specs on paper are decent, and if the design speaks to you, fair enough. But personally, it's not hitting a mark for me. We kind of already touched on the case design earlier. At 40mm is the same Submariner-style case Addiesdive have used in bunch of their other watches. Same brushed surfaces on the top and polished sides. It's a design they have basically run with on repeat. Now, to be fair, the finishing is what you would expect from Addiesdive, and honestly, it's pretty good for the money. I can only wish some bigger brands could hit this level of finishing on their budget models. Because let's be real, at this price, we are usually stuck with plastic or steel that feels like plastic. There's nothing wrong with how the steel in the case are finished here. The brushing is clean, the polishing nicely done. So the credit where it's due. Addiesdive know how to finish a case well, especially at this price point. That said, I'm just not a big fan of the case itself. It feels a bit bulky. And for my wrist, It doesn't sit quite right. The case comes in at 40mm wide with a lug to lug of about 49mm. So it's not massive, but it does wear a little long on the wrist. It is 12.2mm thick on paper, which it does feel thicker than that number suggests. The leg width is at 20mm, so you've got plenty of strap options if you ever wanted to switch things up. Altogether, it has that same classic dive watch profile, but depending on your wrist size, it might wear just a touch larger than you'd expect. It's wearable, but not the most perfect fit for me. It's got that chunky dive watch feel, which some people love, but for me, it's not the best fit. The bracelet, it's there. It's got solid end links, which is cool, and it's actually pretty comfortable, to be honest. Not bad at all for the price. Addiesdive does give you a good bracelet for the money. No major rattles, no sharp edges, just a solid, simple bracelet. It uses a pin and collar system to secure the links. Not a big fan of that. Adjusting is kind of pain, especially now that I'm used to screw pins. Also, the bracelet doesn't taper. It stays at 20mm all the way from lugs to the clasp. So it gives off that classic Orient diver vibe, especially with that clasp. Speaking of which, they went with the old school trifold clasp, the kind you find on affordable Seikos or Orient Mako style watches. It's got that basic diver flip lock, reminds me of my first Orient dive watches for sure. But don't expect anything premium here. That said, this clasp is actually one of the better ones I have seen from Addiesdive. It is well finished, no sharp edges, no corners digging into your wrist, like the ones on some of their other models. So yeah, it's not flashy, it's not refined, it's comfortable, and at the end of the day, that's what counts. So what do I think about this watch? Honestly, not a big fan. Like I mentioned earlier, Addiesdive experimented with this design before on their 82066 model. That one kind of worked, so maybe the team thought, hey, let's try the same thing with a diver style case. But for me, it doesn't really work here. Maybe I am biased. It takes a lot for me to really like a diver watch. It has to be really good. In my collection, I have only got 2 diver watches that I actually like and wear. So I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Let me know in the comments below. Do you like this kind of mashup design? Because overall you have got a messy dial with a lot going on, decent fit and finish, good specs for the price, and if you're tired of Submariner homages and want a different spin on the same case, that might work for you. This was kind of tough video to make because it's the first time I have received a watch and ended up not liking it. But I mean, I have got to be honest here about my opinions, right? So that's why we are here. Drop your thoughts down below and I'll be reading the comments. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.